Now, Andrew,
Mm-hmm.
I know you are not one. You're not really a movie man, uh,
No.
which is great because it leads to segments on the podcast that we can discuss. Two, I know you're not really a movie theater man either.
No. I've recently enjoyed movie theaters more, but I still don't go very often.
Do you think it's because the pandemic, because they were closed, and so like there's a little bit of novelty to going back to them, or
It could have been, but I found a really cool movie theater in Bakersfield. They're not paying me anymore, so I'm not gonna tell you which one it is.
but yeah, today is National Movie Theater Day or Cinema Day or something like
Oh
that.
shit.
So movies are $3 at Regal Cinemas for all formats for all movies,
Oh
and
yeah.
they are re-releasing some choice movies. One that won't get you in the theater because you hate the very idea of it. Spider-Man No Way Home Extended Edition.
Which Spider-Man is that out of the 14 guys that play Spider-Man right now?
Well, this is the one that got all three Spider-Man in
Oh good. Oh good.
it. it's the
Good. It's
it's the
raining Spider-Man.
yeah, it's the multiverse, dog.
Yeah.
But if I were not doing this podcast, what I could have done today, see Jaws in IMAX, dude.
God damn.
You know what's in the
Um,
water?
our shark is in the water.
Yeah,
You know what kind of eyes he's got?
like a doll's eyes.
He's got eyes like a doll. um,
um, that gets me to the theater. That's one where I'm like, okay, man, I'd go. I've seen Jaws 800 times probably, but I'd go to the. I don't think I've ever seen it in a movie theater.
is it $3 to watch Jaws in the IMAX?
Yeah,
God damn.
yeah. For today, it's $3. Uh,
Man, you
could
moved to
all,
a city with an IMAX theater.
yeah. They're
I'm never
also
gonna see you
doing.
again.
They're also doing a showing of AEW All Out at the Maya Cinema tomorrow for $25.
The Mayan cinema? I
Yeah,
thought
the
that
Maya.
closed in 2012.
Nice. Way to
It's
go.
11:14 and he's got it. It's 11:14 in the morning.
And that one's over the wall. That's an
God,
Aaron. That's
no
an Aaron
doubt about
Judge.
that one. Touch them all, Idell.
That's an Aaron Judge like home run. Yeah, towering.
You didn't even say Mayan theater.
Yeah, I said Maya Theater.
Yeah. Are you gonna do that? You
Uh,
convince your wife to do that?
Undecided as of now. Because the upside to buying it at home is that I am at home, and can't really undersell that that aspect of it. The upside to going to the theater version is it's less money, and there might be some other wrestling nerds there that I can make a community out of now that I live in a different town.
Yeah, you need to make friends.
Yeah,
Because this just isn't gonna work out anymore.
right.
And
It's too far.
too far. And another thing is you can report to me how it went.
Right. Theater wise. So
I really hope all those neckbeards try to start chants and shit.
Well, right now there have been 0 tickets sold. I looked at the
Fuck.
theater layout because to see how much it costs to buy a ticket, you have to get past a couple of the screens. It won't just tell you like, hey, it's $20.
Yeah.
So then it was like, select your seat, and it's just
literally any seat.
They're all mine right now.
Fuck. I wonder if AEW has a deal with Maya Theaters, or if a Maya Theaters employee was like, hey, you know, it'd be freaking cool. You know, it would really sell out the joint. And then it didn't sell out the joint.
Well, I wonder, like, if it doesn't sell, I guess they don't have to buy the pay-per-view, because I'm assuming what they're doing is they just buy the pay-per-view and then just project it.
Yeah, that's what you do. But you have to, you have to pay unless AEW like has terrible lawyers and there's like this crazy loophole, you have to pay like an exorbitant amount. Like it's in the thousands to show it at some spot like that.
Because I wonder if they just do that for everything. Because I wonder if there's UFC fights that they show in the movie theater too, because I know some places do that if it's
Yeah.
something in a city. That would be dope.
Yeah,
Well,
Studio Movie Grill in Bakersfield does that, and I tried to. I was like, "Hey, would you allow me to like do that as a like a radio station promotion?" They're like, "Ah, we already do that." I'm like, "Fuck."
yeah. What about WrestleMania? Like, let me bend your ear about a little thing known as WrestleMania.
Ever heard of it? Huh?
Yeah. So my question is, what movie for $3 gets you into a theater on National Cinema Day?
Heavyweights.
It's definitely Heavyweights.
Um,
Because you also don't enjoy nostalgia because you're Ebenezer Scrooge from the Christmas Carol.
I'm a hard-hearted perma frown face ass.
Yeah, because part of it is going to see a movie that like even if I've seen it, I haven't seen it in the theater, and that's a different experience. Like I'd go see The Sandlot in the theater.
I've got a really like kind of flaccid answer. Top Gun Maverick. I still haven't seen Top Gun Maverick.
It was pretty good, man.
Yeah,
for all my shit talk, it was pretty good.
I want to see it. I you know how long I've wanted to see it since it came out. There hasn't been a modern movie that spent more time in the fucking theater, and I never went.
Yeah, it's in the zeitgeist, man. How's you seeing the Joker working out?
Oh, dude, I actually I think I had it queued one day. Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna do all this. I'm gonna fucking wash my drawers, and then I'm gonna watch the Joker.
Yeah,
I didn't end up watching the Joker.
It's been so long since you've not seen the Joker. You could watch it on TNT now on Sunday afternoon.
It's on the Remember This slot on TNT.
Yeah.
They're talking about the second one.
Right. It used to be Independence Day. Now it's the Joker. Yeah. All right.
What's that movie about the guy who got hit by a train and he's like it's Sandra Bullock?
Oh, While You Were Sleeping.
That it used to be While You Were Sleeping.
Right. Now
Joker. It's the Joker.
Yeah. Society has changed, you see.
A boring ass Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. It used to be Jaws the Revenge. But now Joker. Yeah. Jaws the Revenge, where the premise is the shark knows who it's killing, and it's killing these people on purpose as a revenge mechanism.
I fucking hate that premise. It's like, hey guys, don't go to the water.
Well, the shark.
That's the shark's water.
The shark tricks you, dude. Smart shark. Tricks you. That's also the plot of Deep Blue Sea. What if we took sharks, already nature's perfect killing machine for their environment, and we made them real smart? Because people love the raptors from Jurassic Park. Like that's the exact reason. There's 3 tiger sharks in that movie that just like there are 3 raptors. A shark ate him. A fucking shark ate Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh yeah, they ate me.
Yeah,
a fucking shark ate me. What do the sharks do to lure you into the water? They have like a floating they have a floating barbecue with like ribs cooking.
Yeah,
you're just like, is somebody cooking ribs? Those smell great.
0 interest credit card. You just have to come out to this sand barge to sign up for it.
A shark with glasses on.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to, guys? I'll give you this gift certificate for a free cruise.
Yeah,
you just got to watch my timeshare presentation. You're not gonna eat me, are you?
At the beginning of the movie, the guy who's supposed to be Detective Brody's son is like trying to. There's like something wedged in the water.
Brody is not. Okay, yeah, I know who Brody is. Smile, son of a bitch guy.
Yeah, we're gonna need a bigger boat guy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So something is like tied up in the water or something. So he has to take the police boat out there, and then the shark knows it's him, and so the shark starts ramming against the boat to knock him out of the boat, so the shark can eat him.
Get in here, you motherfucker! You
Yeah.
killing my whole family, you goddamns!
Yeah, really, because it is sort of a disadvantage for the shark. He's got to get odds because he's got to get you in the water.
Yeah.
You know, if you move to Missouri, that shark's got no shot.
Oh yeah, go. You're not even a mile. Go 300 yards inland.
Yeah, the Central States, that shark's revenge plan is foiled in a second.
You could be eating clam chowder at the restaurant that can see the beach, and the shark is just looking at you like, motherfucker, you come over here, you son of a bitch. The shark will die of old age, just fucking scowling at you.
The problem is, at the beach, the shark might be able to get some sympathy from the other beach creatures. So, like a bunch of seagulls grab your ass,
just start bumping you into what the
in the direction of the water.
You slowly stumble towards the water.
It has Michael Caine and Mario Van Peebles in it, and someone asked Michael Caine about it one time, and he's like, "No, I've never seen the movie. By all accounts, it's terrible, but I have seen the beach house it bought, and that is beautiful." So good on Michael Caine.
Mario Van Peebles is a real name, huh?
Yeah, Mario Van Peebles a real dude.
It's not even a real dude. It's a Hannibal Buress reference for the uninitiated out there. Why is that his name? I got to look up to see if that's his real name. That's a real name.
Yeah, his dad
is Melvin Van Peebles.
Yeah, of the Van Peebles family.
How are these like? I mean, these are black dudes.
Mario Van Peebles pretty famous.
Oh, they're from Mexico? They're Mexican? No, they look like black dudes.
Yeah, I mean,
I know I'm treading dangerous waters here. He appeared in the film Sweetback's Badass with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 S's song.
Yeah, that's like a Shaft style exploitation.
Okay.
Movie. Like a blaxploitation movie.
Yeah, these are black dudes. These are black dudes. He was just born in Mexico City. But Van Peebles is just a jarring last name. You know what I mean? Your cats are fighting. The cats are fighting.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The mom cat just gets real pissed because one of her kittens is like real big compared to her, and just is also real doofy, so just gets in her face all the time. So she'll be like, "Bap bap," just to like
get him to chill out. 2-piece in the soda.
Yeah, hit him with the hiss.
You never want to have a kid that's bigger than you.
Yeah, like Storm, the baby cat, could dunk on the mom cat now. There's a new hierarchy being established, and I don't think the mom cat enjoys that. So
yeah, that's gotta suck.
Yeah,
my kid can now beat my ass.
Right, just by laying on me.
And we're a family of predators. Like,
yeah,
it's not like they're bunny rabbits.
You got to come at them like another predator.
Yeah,
and they all eat like the same amount of food, and they get relatively, I imagine, the same amount of exercise. I don't know why, but one of them's just big compared to the other two. It's a glandular problem.
Yeah, it's a glandular problem. It's a little kitty thyroid,
Yeah.
I'm in the market for a new cat, by the way.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, I want a brand new cat.
Just nothing.
Shiny wheels.
No miles on it. Yeah.
No. Warranty is still active.
Yeah.
I want like a year-old cat, like, and I want to save a cat from a cage. Like, I want to find one of those caged up cats.
Yeah. Well, I would think that you'd probably want one that's like through the chewing your shit up, scratching stuff phase for the most part. And that's about a year,
Yeah. And I want one that's fixed already, because I don't want to be the source of this cat's trauma,
Sure.
I want to save it from the bad people who took him to the hospital,
Yeah, you want to be the avenging angel. You don't want to be the
exactly.
One that caused... Yeah.
I want it to be like, I'll never take you to get cut open. And I'll be like, I know, I love you so much.
Yeah, that's an easy way. Now, by the way, only one cat. The mom cat retreated from this situation.
Fuck you, I'm going away.
Yeah, so now there's only one cat on the bed.
Okay.
Queen of the domain.
That cat is one.
Yeah. I was gonna try to transition to something here. Speaking of a larger than what you would expect for its. No, can't make
No.
it. Dusty Rhodes.
Speaking of a cool cat.
Yeah. Speaking of somebody who's definitely not a jive turkey, you want to hit that theme song?
Yeah. Welcome to Snark Marks, everybody. I think I said Snark Marks. Snark Marks. We are wrestling. God damn. we are a wrestling retrospective podcast from the Central Valley of California. I'm Andrew. That's Dusty. He knows a lot more about wrestling than I do. Follow us on the social media. At Snark Marks Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Dusty's on Twitter at Snark Marks D. I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Andrew Idell. Probably follow the Instagram because I'm trying to pump up the numbers. Check out our back catalog. Our first episode, we talk about the history of wrestling and how we know each other, and also listen to our long shits with we did 1997 in wrestling, Vince Russo, the Invasion angle. I feel like I'm missing one long one.
WWF 1989.
1989. I forgot about that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Featuring literally was featuring the man.
Yeah.
Now, pretty soon we are one thing we're going to do soon is the Dusty Rhodes versus Ric Flair rivalry. Because I asked for it because I want to see peak Dusty and peak Rick, and they happen to clash at the time. Yeah. So, but in the meantime, we're gonna learn a bit about Dusty Rhodes. We watched 2 documentaries. The second one was pretty much the first one.
Yeah, I didn't really know that.
Yeah,
because I don't recall. Obviously, I think I've seen both of these documentaries, but I didn't watch them back to back, and so I was thinking there are 2 separate things to glean from the 2 documentaries. But if you want to learn about Dusty Rhodes, really just watch the one documentary.
Which is The American Dream, the Dusty Rhodes story on Peacock. That's the one to watch. We also watched Dusty Rhodes Celebrating the Dream, also on Peacock, which is kind of the in memoriam thing that they made after he died, which is basically the first one cut up a bunch. But with there's some new interviews. Like, it's not worth it, but it's there. It wasn't completely all repackaged stuff, which almost made it worse because I couldn't skip it.
Right. Well, and also because the Celebrating the Dream's like 52 minutes, and the American Dream story is like an hour and 24 minutes. So it's really not. You're not saving really any time in either case. I mean, the Dusty Rhodes story goes a little more in depth, so that's the one that I would recommend. Probably.
Yeah, me too.
I have a student teacher one, Andrew. If you want this week, I thought of one.
You have a what?
Like the comparison for the student teacher.
Oh, okay, yes.
I'm Kevin Costner from Bull Durham. You're Tim Robbins.
I'm Nuke Lelouch.
Yeah, you're the Loosh.
That's actually that's a really good one. You're Crash Davis. I'm Nuke Lelouch.
I'm a little bit over it, but I was there for 10 days. I'm
wearing my girlfriend's underwear and trying to breathe through my eyelids.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen Bull Durham, by the way,
that's a great movie.
Go ahead and do that.
That's a great movie. I want you to throw this next one at the mascot.
Not even. What would I say? In the consensus rankings, you think top 3 baseball movies?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think it's number 2 for me. I think Field of Dreams is number 1. Bull Durham's number 2.
Yeah, and then The Sandlot.
I don't
Behind
know.
Sandlot. Little Big League.
The Sandlot was good. Yeah, dude, I might like Little Big League more than I like the Sandlot. The Sandlot's really good. It's just like very, very of the time.
Yeah. Rookie of the Year. Man, there are a lot of movies about kids playing baseball.
Yeah. Major
all
League. Major
all
League
in the
might be number
mid-90s.
three.
Oh, Major League.
That's probably number 3 for me.
You saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Just for that line alone. Yeah, there's some really good ones. Like even the kind of corny ass For Love of the Game with Kevin Costner is pretty good.
Yeah.
The
Natural.
Major League 2 is good. The Natural, yeah.
Dude, Major League 3, surprisingly good.
Is that Back to the Minors?
Yeah, I watched it on TBS.
Oh, it's good.
In one of those Sunday afternoon hazes. It was just like, well, I guess.
That is a Sunday afternoon ass movie.
Yeah. It was
baseball
really
lends
good.
itself to really good movies, man.
Well, I think it's
Moneyball.
Moneyball's good. I think it might be the easiest one to translate to film. Because it's a lot of there's a lot of stationary action also. Because basketball's in transit, football is boring to watch in a movie because it's like every play you have to reset the thing.
Unless you're watching The Replacements.
Yeah. Or
The Waterboy.
Any Given Sunday.
I haven't seen that one. Did the guy get his eyeball popped out of that?
That movie's fucking nuts, dude. Al Pacino as the head coach in full crazy Pacino mode.
Wow, you're my fullback.
Yeah.
The worst Pacino of all time. I did not.
We got to get a first down.
What's worse, my Pacino or Big Show's Dusty Rhodes?
I think Big Show thinks he's doing a good Dusty Rhodes.
Big Show's Dusty Rhodes is so bad.
Yeah.
And it's like Dusty Rhodes is like one of the easier
impressions
to do, and Big Show's is so Maria Menounos had a better
oh boy.
Dusty Rhodes.
We'll get to that. All right, so yeah, I thought we should watch the Dusty Rhodes story just as sort of a primer, because the Dusty Rhodes story is interesting, and also it gives us a better look at territory style wrestling, and is a primer for the Ric Flair Dusty Rhodes feud. So we don't just go into the matches cold. Now we know a little bit more.
Yeah, and especially I know Dusty Rhodes. I know that Dusty's on the short list. He's one of the greatest ever. I love the work that we've seen, and it's just mostly the WWE work, if not exclusively the WWE work, except for his mic work on WCW, which was legendary.
Yeah,
they plundering.
They are plundering. He represented him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
trying to repetend with him.
He's sort of soliloquating. He even does a little bit of that in this documentary. He's very fluid on the mic in his speech, and then he'll just throw a non sequitur phrase that doesn't belong there at the end of it.
I also love that he's like a huge Dusty Rhodes fan, which I love.
Yeah, it's like the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys, the best Beastie Boys songs are about how cool the Beastie Boys are.
Yeah. So Dusty was born in the 1940s.
Yeah.
And of course, I wrote this down. Of course, Dusty was born with an affliction.
Yeah, he was born right after we beat those Germans.
Yeah.
After we knocked those Nazis back. October 11th, 1945.
He had what was called gimp hip when he was born. No, he apparently had no cartilage in his hip or some shit. He's like, it's just bone on bone, daddy.
Yeah, I think it's osteocolitis, maybe
osteochondritis, I believe, is what something like that. Yeah, his hip was fucked, and he had braces on his legs, like goddamn Forrest Gump.
Yep.
And he just one day decided to start walking. I love the people who believe that they beat their affliction, but you know what? I was just sick of it,
Yeah. I decided I wasn't gonna be on crutches anymore.
I no longer have cancer.
Yeah. Imagining all the shit he did and all the time he spent riding in cars and all the wrestling and stuff. If your hip is just bone on bone, that has to suck so bad.
Oh yeah. I wonder if he did a lot of pills.
Yeah, or if he had a hip replacement later on.
Yeah. It's adorable. He thought his dad was the greatest plumber there ever was.
I mean, prove him wrong.
That is
true. You gonna fight Dusty about it?
I certainly am not. That guy's got a purple forehead.
He was born Virgil Runnels, but his dad loved baseball, and there was a baseball player nicknamed Dusty Rhodes. And so his nickname from the time he was born was Dusty. Again, I will point out, I remain the only true Dusty. So on the birth certificate, no Dustins here, no Virgils to be found here.
Fight him for it.
Straight up Dusty. He could have it. I'm not trying to get bionic elbowed in the Omni, Daddy. So out in public, if you will. So
if you will, I'm so sweet.
Of course, he talks about growing up just dirt ass poor, the poorest Texas person that you could imagine.
Yeah.
And I believe him. I relatively, I think I grew up poor. Generally, unless you're very affluent, I imagine there are degrees to poorness. But I believe that he was probably pretty poor growing up.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's probably a dad. A dad was a plumber and mom didn't work because that's just how it worked back then. And he had to work with his pops. He stopped short of saying I was his bitch. I was the plumber's bitch because he's like, I wasn't exactly an apprentice or a helper or anything like that, but I did what they needed me to do.
He dug ditches.
I dug. Yeah, he's like, I was a ditch digger.
Because there's the plumber's apprentice is the guy who's learning from the plumber to then himself become a plumber, not Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty knew he was a star.
Yeah, and he used to go, of course, to Texas wrestling every Friday night. I go out with my daddy. We get Texas chicken fried steak. He cash his check, and we go watch Texas wrestling. And,
how much fun does that sound? Except for when you realize that Texas arena didn't have any goddamn air conditioning.
Yeah, then we think back to the Sportatorium documentary, and you're like, oh right, it's hot as fuck in there.
Yeah, but I bet it was sick. Like I love listening to all the wrestlers when it's the first time they saw wrestling. They're like, I'm gonna do this the rest of my life. Like,
yeah, he's like, you could do this as a job, like a real job.
Yeah. Fuck being a plumber. What are you doing, Daddy?
Yeah. Why can't you do a flying head scissor, Daddy? So, of course, wrestling's plentiful in Texas. There's Joe Blanchard's territory, the Funk's territory, and World Class. So I like the story that Dusty tells at the beginning where he used to he'd go watch wrestling on Friday night, and then Saturday he'd run his own promotion where he'd just kick the shit out of his brother.
Yeah.
In a literal outlaw mud show.
A literal outlaw mud show. Let's see what Cornette thinks about that one.
Yeah.
But he said he put 4 posts in the ground and string a hose all the way around to be the ropes. And he'd be like, I didn't know how to do that. I was kind of stupid. It always fell apart.
Yeah, he's like, I was a terrible promoter back then. So then he ends up playing baseball because that's what his dad wanted him to do. And from his own accounts, he says that he is a pretty good baseball player. Who knows? But
yeah, everybody says they're a pretty good baseball player. But
yeah,
I bet he was good.
I like that he says he played baseball, but then he ran into some altercations and ended up bouncing around schools and ended up at West Texas University, where $1 Million Man, Tito Santana, Stan Hansen, Tully Blanchard, and Dusty all played football.
And Dory and Terry Funk.
Oh yeah, Dory and Terry Funk also. Yeah, so it's
fucking
like
insane.
A rich history of wrestling.
Imagine like the local college was like John Cena, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, the Fiend Bray Wyatt, before he went to the Bayou, went to school in Visalia for a while.
Oh yeah, he went to COS.
Yeah, he went to our local junior college.
I wish I could still do my impression of him. I would have been. The line to In and Out is so damn long.
I can't believe they only have Carl's Jr. on campus.
They got 2 malls, and one of them's a piece of shit.
But one of them,
the Sequoia Mall, bro.
Yeah, one of them today you could see a movie for $3. So. Visalia Mall doesn't have a movie theater. Kick rocks.
I went and saw Pootie Tang.
I believe I went and saw the romantic comedy Hitch, starring Will Smith and Kevin James.
He ate up all that seafood, and his face got hilariously swollen.
It was puffy as hell, brother. So then he starts. He breaks into the business with Joe Blanchard, who's Tully Blanchard's dad. And he says one night he got paid $700, and that was his official retirement from football.
Yeah, the Dolphins called him the next day. He's like, I am no longer playing professional football.
Well, because you figure in the early '60s or whatever, like football players didn't make shit.
Especially
you
the
know.
practice squad football players.
Yeah, and so it's like it wasn't until the '80s that there started to be '70s and '80s there started to be real money. So it's like we talked about in the off season, you'd have to go work your regular job and then go play football,
That's
and for
my
more money,
grandpa.
you could
My
just
grandpa turned down a pitching contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates because there wasn't any money in baseball, and he went and
yeah.
sold cars.
And what did they just sign Fernando Tatis Jr. to?
Oh yeah, he's making like fucking $360 million or something like that.
Yeah. So this is where we get the first big Dusty Rhodes career turn. He goes to Kansas City to the territory there, and he teams up with Dick Murdoch, Dirty Dick Murdoch.
Dirty Dick Murdoch. He had another. Do you know his other nickname? I like his other nickname.
Oh, Captain Redneck.
Captain Redneck, bro.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
He is quite a fella.
Yeah.
I believe what he says was a joke. He was a card carrying member of the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, there's a lot of mention of that on his Wikipedia. I was gonna be like I was gonna say I love Dick Murdoch, and then I looked at that, and I'm hearing, I hear tell, he did not like the minorities, Mr. Dick Murdoch.
Yeah.
And I will put this on record. I'm not saying I believe him. Jim Cornette says that is not true.
Sure.
And he I didn't hear Cornette say that. The Wikipedia also mentions that.
Right.
So, and Cornette apparently managed him at one point, I guess. But them as a team, as a tag team, Dick Murdoch and Dusty Rhodes seems like a real hoot.
Yeah, they look like the same guy. They're the same guy. And so they were the Texas Rednecks, and they just basically raised hell in every territory, kicked the shit out of everybody, were terrible heels, and also, from what this documentary says, a rambunctious sort, you know?
Oh yeah, they like to get a little rowdy out on the town.
Yeah. I also like the talking heads in this one. It's long enough ago that you still have Mean Gene. You got Bobby Heenan a little bit. The Jerry Briscoe's in it. Like,
man, this is Bobby Heenan between looking like Bobby Heenan and looking like what Bobby Heenan looked like at the end. Like,
yeah,
this is
rough.
Like withered Bobby Heenan. He doesn't have a lot of like life in his voice. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
man, god damn it, like cancer, you son of a bitch.
Throat cancer.
You take Kathy, you take Bobby Heenan.
Yeah,
Kathy's Dusty's mom.
Yeah, you steal all the
everybody
greats.
we love.
Yeah.
But it just sucks, man. Like I don't want to imagine Bobby Heenan having a podcast with Troy Conrad. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I want Bobby Heenan to have like lived lively through the end of his life. Like, I understand everybody's got their like. There's a million people who I wish didn't get cancer, but just like while we're on this topic, while he was on this show, it was like, fuck, man, like it really is like one of the shining lights of wrestling history just kind of just withered, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's rough too because you can tell the definite like falling off of a cliff as far as Bobby's health goes, and it sucks to see like truly one of the best performers and funniest guys in wrestling history, and he's just a small, like, fragile guy.
Yeah,
that sucks.
And the spark is gone from his eye. Like, he was still like, you can tell he still enjoyed talking about wrestling, but he was withered for sure. Anyway, sorry for the bummer corner with Andrew Idell, but
Andrew Idell's hard stance: cancer, bad,
not chill.
Yeah. So, of course, Rhodes and Dick Murdoch are best friends. They're riding up and down the towns together, getting in bar fights, doing all the shit you want to do with your best friend. And then I thought it was funny. Dusty says he woke up one day in a double a double room hotel and could just see Dick Murdoch's ass from underneath the covers, and was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to go. I gotta get out of here.
How gross was Dick Murdoch's ass?
Yeah. Well, he's like, we both stink. It's like we can't continue in this way.
Yeah, he did.
The center will not hold.
I've been there before where you're like you're hanging out with a friend like a bunch and you're like, man, if I keep doing this, I'm not doing anything with my life. Like,
Yeah, that's gonna be bad if I keep doing this. So he calls Florida to see if Florida wants him as a single, and so him and Dick Murdoch,
and the whole state of Florida was like, yeah, you know what,
hell,
you can come over here.
yeah, hell yeah. Mike Graham, who sadly passed away due to suicide, is on this documentary. But on this documentary, he's looking a lot like a discount Guy Fieri to me.
I gotta look up. I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, that's the guy that was like, we wrestled right here behind me. It was the biggest match of all time.
Yeah. So his dad, Eddie Graham, ran a weekly territory in Florida. He's saying he's the first guy to think of it as a weekly territory, and they use the National Guard armories as their like network to run events,
which was
is very
brilliant.
smart.
Brilliant. Yeah. Did any relation to Billy Graham? Superstar Billy Graham, not the fucking evangelical.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's possible, but I don't know. And Eddie Graham is generally considered the best booker in wrestling history. Like,
is that the guy? Is that the guy that Dusty was saying? Like, nobody knows more than that guy about the wrestling business.
Yeah,
or was that
he learned everything that he knew from Eddie Graham.
That's wild.
So, and of course, Rhodes comes in as a heel and then turns babyface because his partner accidentally karate chopped him instead of karate chopping Mike Graham. So we got a bad news Brown situation, but it's baby. It turns him babyface because Dusty Rhodes is doing his own commentary over his face turn on TV.
Like, I want to know the context of that. He's like, I told myself I got to get up, Daddy, and I got to beat up 4 men. Yeah,
because it's got something to do with pride. Yeah. And so he drops that big elbow on his partner, and the Florida. He could have been the mayor. He could have probably been the governor at some point.
Yeah.
You know? He says that Bobby Heenan calls him the hottest babyface in Florida Championship Wrestling history. And Bobby Heenan's like, he was so hot, it's not even red hot. He's white hot. And that is as hot as it gets.
Yeah. It'll get hotter than white hot.
Yeah. They briefly touch on his feud with Terry Funk because they're both from Texas. And Dusty Rhodes is talking about how it's been like 40 years and Terry won't let the shit go because they don't ever stop beefing. Terry don't squash a beef. He's like backstage, I'll give him a hug and I'll give him a kiss, but in public, every single time this son of a bitch starts running me down, like, I whooped your ass 30 years ago. Yeah. I'll do it again.
Yeah, and he says, I whooped your ass for 30 years.
Yeah.
You're like, come on, man, you're 62 years old.
Yeah, that's Terry Funk, habitual line stepper. Which is not hard to believe.
I love Terry Funk. Yeah. I love the idea that I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen? Did you ever see Mike Tyson's Undisputed Truth one-man show?
No.
Oh, dude, it's so fucking good. If you get a chance to ever like run it, it's probably on HBO. But it's Spike Lee produced it, and this is like, you know how Mike Tyson went from crazy guy with a tattoo on his face, losing his mind, to like respected public figure who is actually really introspective and like nice to talk to advocate. And all that. And I'm just steady eating fucking bags of mushrooms all day.
Taking care of pigeons.
His reintroduction into civilized society, or maybe his introduction into civilized society, because when he was king of the world, he had a fucking tiger and took pictures in his underwears, you know?
Yeah.
But so watch Undisputed Truth. It's great. But he has like a running thing where this boxer named Mitch Green, who was he was a gangster from New York, like a real gangster from New York, ended up becoming a professional boxer and just would not leave Mike Tyson alone. And it's just so throughout the whole thing, he'll be like, he's telling another story, and he's like, and I'm hanging out outside this club, and some guy comes up on a bike, and he squares up to me, and it's fucking Mitch Green. Like Mitch Green just would not leave Mike Tyson. He tried to.
Yeah.
It was on site with Mitch Green and Mike Tyson,
Yeah.
and it's a really funny like string of stories. But I just love the idea of Terry Funk being Dusty Rhodes' Mitch Green. Like
Yeah.
Dusty's hanging out somewhere at the supermarket, and Terry Funk just starts a fucking hardcore match in the middle of the supermarket.
Dusty, you egg sucking dog.
I'm gonna get you this time.
You yellow bastard. So I thought this was cool. We get a rundown from Dusty of Vince McMahon Sr., who ran, of course, New York and the New York territory, and Eddie Graham decide to come together to like, what's the hottest match we can make? And it's Superstar Billy Graham, who's the WWF champion, versus Dusty Rhodes in Madison Square Garden. And then we get a brief chapter with Superstar Billy Graham, who says his favorite opponent of all time is Dusty Rhodes, and we get match clips of their 3 matches. And again, this is just demonstrating like the philosophy of old territory wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first match ends in a count out for the title, so that the fans kind of get what they want. Dusty wins, but by count out.
Dusty's holding the belt up until they say that he didn't actually win the belt and all that.
And he gets on after they announce that he's the winner by count out and not the champion, he grabs the mic and goes, "I traveled a long way to whoop your ass, Superstar Billy Graham.
Get your ass back up here."
Yeah, and so now the fans are like, "Oh shit, Dusty would have had him."
Yeah.
So now we come back with the stipulation match, Texas Death Match. So there's no disqualification, no count out, and they beat the shit out of each other. Both guys get color. It's the crowd's ravenous. The end of the match, they run into each other exhausted, and Superstar Billy Graham drapes one arm over Dusty Rhodes and gets the pin. So again, he keeps the belt, but you're like, Dusty fucking had him, man.
Real close. Yeah.
Who knows? And this is month over month. So the first match is in September. The second match they come back and do in October. And Dusty goes to Vince Sr. and goes, "There's a third match here. And if we do that match, we're going to sell this shit out." And so they do the Texas Bull Rope match, which is not for the title and is essentially a strap match with the rope, but holding the 2 guys together. And there's a cowbell in the center. And if you get the cowbell, you can hit your opponent with it. So, and of course, another giant bloody brawl, and then Dusty Rhodes wins that one. So Dusty eventually triumphs over the heel, even though he doesn't win the belt. And that did giant box office business in New York, and then made Dusty an even bigger star in Florida. So it worked for both guys, for Eddie Graham and Vince Sr.
I'm very interested in Superstar Billy Graham.
There's a documentary of Superstar Billy Graham on Peacock.
We gotta find the best way to do that. I wanna make sure we do him right. He's still alive. Fuck yeah. 79 years old. That dude was jacked.
Yeah. He was also one of the first like flamboyant wrestlers of that style, like with the giant muscles and the tie-dye, and he also cut promos in a similar like Dusty Rhodes kind of fashion.
Mutton chops.
Yeah, mutton chops, and had like a whole look. And wasn't a great technical wrestler per se, but he was like a sports entertainer. Like a Hulk Hogan is way closer to Superstar Billy Graham than he was like a Bob Backlund or Lou Thesz or any of those classic, wrestlers from the early years. I also want
to see some Bob Backlund, fucking Mickey Rooney looking ass motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, those matches felt like history. Like watching those matches felt like, and the crowd like loved Dusty Rhodes, and it's interesting because was the Florida territory nationally televised, or did they just know of Dusty Rhodes from like magazines and stuff?
I think from magazines and stuff, because they weren't. It was still regional, but I don't know if in Florida or in New York you might be able to pick up something from Florida just because it's a bigger like station market or whatever. But I don't know for
Yeah, it's
TV.
very interesting because the crowd fucking loved him from the first, like, because they showed his entrance in the first match,
Yeah.
and the crowd the crowd popped huge for him.
Oh, and that baby blue robe with the blue matching hat. Fuck yeah, dude.
And he's doing the backward shuffle around the ring, and
Yeah.
oh man,
And he also
what a
does that
king.
thing, the clip that you put on Twitter where he goes to lock up with Billy Graham and then he turns away from him. Nah, not yet.
No, and he like goes ooh, and
Yeah.
and Billy Graham goes motherfucker.
Next, very briefly, because we'll never get enough time. There could be a 5-hour documentary about him, and it wouldn't be enough. Goddamn Harley Race is in this documentary.
Oh man,
Jesus.
big Harley Race guy, the Andrew.
Yeah. Again, another guy like Dennis Condrey, like we talked about last week. Old guy, old timey tough guy tattoo on the Harley
Yeah,
Race.
I want to find like pictures of Harley Race's tattoos like up close. I bet there's a pretty lady on his arm.
Yeah, and I bet they hurt like shit.
Maybe
And
maybe a
so,
dragon.
yeah, and Harley Race says, despite how Dusty looked, the guy could go. He could go 60 minutes in the ring if that's what you needed. And then they show clips of Dusty beating Harley Race with a crossbody off the top, a favorite in the NWA to win the world title, to capture the first of 2 world titles that he would beat Harley Race for. And Dusty wins the title, and there's a huge celebration, and he's, of course, dedicating it in his promo to all the people that believed in him. And, you can reach up and grab your American dream, whatever it is. The interesting thing is Dusty's title reigns were never that long. Like, people loved the run-up to him winning the title, but he was never a dominant babyface champion because that's not really the structure of the NWA. Traveling champion. So he loses the belt back to Harley Race pretty quickly. But he's world champ, so you can't take it away.
I loved it. He was backstage and Terry Funk caught a stray. Like he was like, I'm not gonna stumble over my words like Terry Funk did when he won the title. I'm the champion of the world. Like, goddamn. Terry Funk was like, that sucks, man. I was nervous.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. He comes from backstage. Yeah. I'm looking at Harley Race's tattoos, and I can't really like get closer to my screen because I'll lose the microphone, but I can't goddamn tell what any of these tattoos are.
That's why they're all fucking Sailor Jerry.
One of them kind of looks scorpion-y.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a scorpion though. I don't know what these tattoos are.
I'm gonna get one of Harley Race. Just Harley Race's face on my shoulder, dude.
The scorpion one is definitely a bird. It's definitely like an eagle or some shit. Man, I'd love to see like a close-up of that tattoo. It looks like a very interesting tattoo. If you Google Harley Race tattoos, guess what you get? Bunch of fucking Harley Davidson tattoos.
No respect.
No respect
for
one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing, I told you that Dusty Rhodes is a big fan of Dusty Rhodes. He said that his win over Harley Race was the biggest moment in sports history.
Yeah, he's like, people say this or that about wrestling, but when you win the world heavyweight title, that's the biggest thing that can happen in sports.
Yeah.
It's like,
He also later on says that his Hard Times promos may be the greatest interview ever given.
Yeah. Not just in wrestling. It encompasses every interview ever given. So then we talk about, of course, because it's an old wrestler biography, we have to do the obligatory working on the road is tough. 300 plus days a year on the grind, city to city, it was tough to be the world champ.
The road is fucking hard. The road is fucking tough.
It's true. Yeah.
Tenacious D taught us that. Another one of Harley Race's tattoos is a peacock. Just so you know.
Okay. That's on his arm, right?
For the television network.
The
streaming service.
He was ahead of his time for synergy.
Yeah, it's on his left forearm. And of course CM Punk got a tribute tattoo of that same peacock. I love to shit on CM Punk and his tattoos because some of his tattoos are fucking annoying. The Pepsi logo is just the worst thing I've ever seen. But I know he was close with Harley Race, so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like. There's no reason to shit on that. But
Dusty met his second wife, Michelle, who's in this documentary a little bit, in 1977 after his first marriage disintegrated, which was the marriage that he had Dustin, his first son. That's his mom. They got divorced in like 1975. He meets Michelle. She goes on the road with him everywhere. She talks about what an incorrigible guy Dusty Rhodes is, and you need somebody to rein him in.
and Dusty's like, I love her. I love her. She keeps up with me. She's mean.
Yeah,
Was he
she's a
say
little.
she's mean like a snake? I think that's
Yeah,
what he said.
yeah, she's like a rattlesnake, baby.
I love that because she doesn't look that mean, but
No,
I've seen a woman like that be mean. And
uh,
I've dated girls where I've told my friends like she's mean. I love it. Like
yeah,
she just makes fun of me.
got to be a little bit mean, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, I love these because Arn Anderson is like, it's clearly a hey, we're talking about the business in an open way. Everyone knows that wrestling is predetermined, and Arn Anderson's still like a little bit of a carny. Like
Yeah.
he won't let it go all the way. He's like, yeah, the road is tough, but whenever you wake up in that city and there's 15,000 people there, and we'll get you out of bed every morning. You got the greatest job in the world, man. You go out there and be a pro wrestler. It's like just
Listen,
carny till the end.
I love it, man. Well, that's true.
Yeah,
Even if
but
it's
he's
fake, it's true. He doesn't
Yeah.
say and you just get ready to battle in legitimate competition. Anybody could win. He didn't
Yep.
say that.
And then we get a big segment on Dusty's promos because, of course, Dusty's promos are what he's mainly known for. 200. I didn't know as a little boy growing up, son of a plumber, that the world would fall in love with a blue-eyed 265 pounds of blue-eyed soul.
That fucking
on,
line, dude. The way that he was saying it too, he said it
Yeah.
like so like it was like a guy giving it was like Nixon talking to Frost. like
Yeah.
I just didn't know, the son of a plumber. Like it just being
He's feuding with Terry Blanchard, and he's like, "You looking for a 10 out there, Terry Blanchard? Well, I got it for you, baby. 5 and 5." And he holds up his fists.
yeah.
And,
Because he's talking about. Oh, do you have it written down? The rest of it?
no. Go
But
ahead.
he's talking about like a 10, like girl 10, and he's
Yeah.
like, every girl's a 10 to me. The fat ones, the skinny ones, the big ones. He said,
The little ones. Yeah. He's and then we focus on the Hard Times promo, of course, where after this they didn't really do the setup to this, which is the best part to me, where Dusty Rhodes, it's Ric Flair versus one of the Russian assassins in a cage, and then the other two Russians run in, and Dusty Rhodes runs in to save Ric Flair, and then Ole and Arn Anderson run in to beat up Ric Flair, or to beat up Dusty Rhodes, because they've got their own beef with Dusty Rhodes. And then Flair attacks Rhodes and drops a knee off the top rope on his leg and quote unquote breaks his ankle in the Omni, and they have to like carry him out. And there's like almost a riot. Like it was crazy. Like they don't show any of that footage, and that's the best part because that's what fires Dusty Rhodes up. He's like, "It'll never be over." He's like,
"You're not supposed to be."
No, and so he cuts the Hard Time promo, which is you put Hard Time on Dusty Rhodes and his family, but there's hard times everywhere. The automaker, they give you a gold watch and they kick you in the butt and they say a robot took your job, daddy.
A computer.
Oh, a computer too. Yeah, a computer took your job, daddy.
The textiles.
Yeah, the textile workers out there. It sounds an awful lot like socialist propaganda to me, Dusty Rhodes.
Listen, and he, which is very interesting because, well, he was siding with the Russian assassins.
Yeah. Well, no, he's not with the Russians.
Oh, I thought he ran in with the Russians.
No, he ran in to save Flair from the Russians, and then Flair double crossed him.
God damn it, I love Ric Flair.
The ultimate hustler. He counted the odds. Let's see. There's Russians. There's the fucking Andersons. There's just Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, if I just beat up Dusty Rhodes, I'm on the right side. He also does some of that old style Benny Hinn televangelism where he's like, reach your hand out, daddy, and touch my hand.
You gotta
And
understand,
no,
I'm touching your hand right now.
yeah, Hands Across America with Dusty Rhodes. I like it completely works. Like he's got this entire audience, like in his hand, like or in his back pocket. So
Is your cat
Oh,
sharpening
hey,
the claws right now? I can hear that from Fresno, dog.
stop fucking with the blinds. What are you doing?
What's that cat's name?
Storm.
Oh man. Oh man,
That's
there's a storm a
that's
coming.
that's the big one
That's the
too.
big one.
So
That's, that's the
she
king.
was just laying on the bed. I don't know what. Now you fucked the blinds up, dude. Why do you do that?
Yeah,
So
so that there's that one, and obviously I've dined with kings and queens, and I've
yeah,
slept in alleys and dined on pork and beans.
yeah.
That fucking line, dude. I hope that's an original Dusty Rhodes line, right?
I think so. I hope
Oh
so.
man, it's so good.
I'm down to get funky like a monkey. They talking about bunkhouse matches. This is my bunkhouse attire. I sleep in it. I eat in it. I get funky in it. My favorite is he's getting ready to fight Ric Flair, and he goes, "It needs to be just me and you, Ric Flair. The four horsemen need to ride on another planet because I reserved the stratosphere for us."
Oh
God
man.
damn, dude.
I want a time machine so I could give them my money.
Yeah, you take my money. I'm going to Starcade. So Dusty wins the title from Flair in a cage match complete with a sweet 80s montage over some rock music at the Great American Bash, which leads nicely into the next thing, which is Dusty as a promoter and booker created the Great American Bash, created Starcade, created Halloween Havoc, created the War Games.
Guess what he didn't create?
What's that?
Goddamn Road Wild.
Nope. Suck an egg, Bischoff. Good luck.
Eric Bischoff, this is the dumbest idea I've ever seen.
Dude, he also had the Bunkhouse Stampede, which was kind of a stinker of an idea, but nobody bats 1,000. But the goddamn War Games is one of the greatest wrestling ideas in history. So, and the Great American Bash, which is like, hey, it's the summer. We take it like a traveling circus. We go to all these different towns. There's like a concert, and then there's a wrestling show in a baseball stadium. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant idea.
And the name the Great American Bash is awesome. Like I'm not the biggest fan of Starcade,
sure,
name, but the Great American Bash is an awesome wrestling name.
So he's the booker for he's the booker for a large amount of Jim Crockett's promotion's success in the 80s, but they're running against Vince the whole time. And they've got stars. They've got Flair, they got Dusty, they got Sting, they got Luger. But the management side of Jim Crockett Promotions was not handled as well. So they're in the hole. In spite of the fact that they're making a ton of money and they're running hot, they don't have any money. Which people blame Dusty Rhodes for, apparently, in this documentary. He's saying, people try to lay that blame on me. I don't know that I've ever really heard that. I've heard that some of Dusty's booking got stale, and then it got like the momentum started to go down a little bit. But it's not like he was spending all the money. So accounting was really where the problem was, because apparently if they had gotten like their TV contract money, which was supposed to be paid in a few months, they would have been fine. It was just in that particular moment they didn't have any money, so they had to sell to Ted Turner.
And you know what? I'm Team Dusty. I don't think they lost money because of Dusty Rhodes. I refuse to believe that you would lose money because Dusty Rhodes is making decisions over your wrestling organization. Screw you, whoever owned it at the time.
Jim Crockett Promotion.
And he said at the end of his first stint with WCW, did he shit on the Pizza Hut guy in this?
Yeah, without
he wouldn't say his name.
Yeah.
All right.
So they bring up the Dusty finish a little bit here, which is like actually an Eddie Graham finish that Dusty took, but the difference was in Florida, only the people in Florida saw it, and they didn't do it that often. And then whenever you're running a national promotion that has pay-per-view and also like weekly television. If you do that in some of your big main events, that people are going to start to get mad because the Dusty finish is the babyface is getting ready to prevail over the heel. The ref gets knocked out. The babyface wins, and then the referee either overturns the decision into like a disqualification, or the referee gets knocked out. A second referee comes in and counts the pin, and then later they announce, "Oh, that didn't actually count because the second referee was not the official referee." So it's a way to like give the people in the building the thing they want, which is the babyface victory, but not actually put the babyface over so that you can build to the next match. But you do that shit too much, and people get upset about it. So
didn't they do that to Bret Hart? I thought it was Bret Hart that they did too, where he's walking off with the belt, and they're like, "Restart the match," and he turns around and goes,
"Oh,
why?"
that was a time limit draw, and then they were like, "We need 5 more minutes to have a winner."
Oh, that's what. Okay.
Yeah, they've decided to restart the match. Why?
Why?
So this is from Dusty's Wikipedia, because I think some of the facts in this doc get sort of mixed up, which is Dusty was fired after Starrcade 88 because of a taboo on-screen bloodletting laid down by Turner Broadcasting Systems following the purchase of the company. So Turner's like, hey, we have to have less blood, or you have to run it by us. And Dusty had the Road Warriors turn heel by beating the shit out of him and booking a storyline where Road Warrior Animal pulled a spike out of one of his shoulder pads and stabbed Dusty Rhodes in the eye with it.
In the eye.
Yeah. Because they also show RoboCop. We get to see the return of RoboCop. But that was in 1990. And in 1990, Dusty was in WWF already. So that's not a Dusty Rhodes idea. So, they're laying some shit at his feet that's not his fault.
They're taking some liberties.
Yeah.
I didn't do that RoboCop garbage.
Yeah. Don't put RoboCop on to Dusty Rhodes. But in any case, they fired Dusty because he was like, look, I know what I'm doing. If the territory's down, we need a controversial angle to bring it back up. The Road Warriors beat the shit out of me and try to blind me, and then I come back. That's a hot angle,
Yeah, you don't try to blind a man. Fuck.
Yeah. And then Dusty tries to go back to Florida, but of course, the territories have all but died at that point, and so he goes to WWF, and we covered some of that in 1989 WWF reviews, but they put him in the polka dots. Bruce Pritchard tries to convince everyone that they didn't do it to make fun of Dusty Rhodes and try to make him look as fat as possible by putting giant polka dots on his outfits. And Dusty seems to have a pretty good outlook on it. He's like, I don't care. He's like, give me the polka dots. I'll get over anyway. He's like, they could have put me out there in a diaper, Daddy, and I would have got over.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
Or a moo-moo.
Yeah. They give him Sapphire, so they do a little bit about Sapphire.
Is she alive?
No.
Oh, man.
She was in her 50s whenever she was in WWE.
Yeah, it was only like 1990. That's 30 years ago.
Yeah, well, I guess in theory she could be. Yeah, it's not like 100 years ago. But no, I believe Sapphire has passed on. But there is some good Dusty stuff in WWF. Of course, they pair him up with the $1 Million Man because that's a natural, the Common Man versus the $1 Million Man. And also against the Macho King, you got the Royalty versus the Common Man. They write themselves. They gave him a sweet ass theme song drafted by me in the theme song draft.
American Dream. 1996, Sapphire died. Unfortunately, we miss you.
Dong dong dong. He's just a common man.
That song, goddamn.
But Jimmy Hart and JJ McGuire. Getting it done, dude, every time.
I honestly, man, all this WWE Dusty Rhodes stuff bums me out. Like, he did get it over. He did.
Yeah.
It was great. Like, I've enjoyed what I've watched of it. You know what I mean? But that's fucking Dusty Rhodes, the American fucking dream. Like, you don't tell him what to wear.
Yeah. It's well, and Vince is it Vince that says it? No, Dusty says Vince came up to me and said, we've ran hard against each other. You were in charge of stuff. I just want you to have fun. You don't have to be in charge of anything. But they had Dusty Rhodes, who's one of the hottest baby faces there is, and he was just a mid card baby face.
Mid card ass Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
How many guys like Daniel Bryan and Dusty Rhodes have there been that ended up just, they were king of the world and then they're just in the mid card in WWE, even though WWE doesn't have anybody as good as them at the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's, tale as old as time.
It really is. I love Dusty. I even like the polka dots. Like I like it. It was cool. And then Sapphire, like all that stuff was cool. And like Sapphire turns on him and starts hanging out with the $1 Million Man, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Whenever she's holding the $1 Million Man's little stuffed animal or stuffed doll in the promo and she's like hugging it, that's very funny.
But that's not the best way to use Dusty fucking Rhodes. Like, it's just like, because this is a WWE documentary, like it seems like they spent a disproportionate amount of time on him and being involved with the WWE when like he was
humping the air. Just a bunch of video of him dancing the air,
spinning that billy club around and stuff. Yeah. Man, he worked that billy club. He really did. But like, I feel like a true Dusty Rhodes documentary spends way more time on him in Florida and him in the territories, and a lot less time on him in WWE. But I get it,
He comes back to WCW in 1991 as the booker for WCW. The end of his WWF run is cool because that's where Dustin starts, and they get to do a little storyline together. But of course, they talk about like how difficult it is for Dustin and Dusty to coexist because the son is trying to follow the father and all of that. And Vince told Dustin Rhodes when he left, hey, you go leave with your dad. I'll let your dad get you over, and then I'll bring you back and make you a star.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did.
That's what happened.
So, yeah. He comes back and he talks about being Ron Simmons' manager, which he was, and also helping him backstage to get booked at the top. And I thought it was Bill Watts who decided to have Ron Simmons be the champion because Bill Watts' territory always tried to have a strong like African American babyface on top. But so I don't know if they ran it together or if the documentaries muddled it up or if I muddled it up.
Is Bill Watts dead?
Bill Watts, I believe, is dead. Yes.
Well, he can't dispute it. That's why Dusty said it.
Yeah. So
when you die, I'm gonna tell a lot of lies about you. Bill Watts is alive.
Oh, good for him.
83, killing it.
And then he's, involved in various storylines in the early 90s in WCW and also is doing some booking. And we get to see Dusty Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and the Nasty Boys, which brings me back to one of my favorite bits on the podcast. Andrew, who are the Nasty Boys?
The Nasty Boys are Brian Knobs and Jerry Sags.
You nailed it. I'm never going to retire.
Yeah, don't retire it.
I'm never going to retire it because who knows when we'll see some Nasty Boys again.
And who knows when I'll remember. You know what I mean? Yeah. My first thought was, okay, so it's not Johnny Grunge. And what's the other guy's name? Hold on. Rocco Rock.
Yeah.
It's not Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge.
No.
So therefore, the Public Enemy.
Yes. So then we get into some Dusty and Dustin like family drama where Dustin's dating Terry Runnels, who's a manager in WCW at the time, and Dusty isn't into it for whatever reason.
Yeah, they really like, and I understand why, but they don't like say like, they're just like, yeah, I was dating Terry. Dad didn't like that too much. And then one day we were supposed to play golf. Dad drove an hour, and then I was like, I can't golf. Terry's sick. I gotta go take care of her. And then we didn't talk for 5 years. It's like, what?
Yeah, which is oh man. I don't it's hard to have opinions on stuff, but like unless there was some real reason that I'm unaware of, that seems like an overreaction to.
Yeah, well, the way that this documentary painted it is like when I was like, well, I still am, I guess, but like when I was like a perennially single, like the one friend who stayed independent. When a new friend would get a girlfriend, I'd be like, well, I'm never gonna see you again. You know what I mean? It's almost like that. That's almost how they painted it, but it seems like there were other, well, they talk about it, there were other things that were unresolved and stuff, but like, you know what I would have to do to my dad for him to not talk to me for 5 years?
Yeah. You know what I'd have to do for my dad not to talk to me for 5 years?
Just
Be,
about nothing.
yeah, be 7 years old, asking him to come to my birthday party. That's
And it's been like 30 years.
yeah, an ask too big to come to a birthday party.
He's like, that kid is clingy.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, but I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, you're one of my closest friends. You'd have to do some real heinous shit for me to be like, fuck you, bro.
Fuck you for 5 years.
Yeah. Or like fuck you for 5 years, and then also now we're back and we're closer than any father and son have ever been in history. No, if you're out, fucking out.
For that long at least. But like,
yeah.
by a lot of accounts, Dustin Rhodes not the easiest guy to deal with, especially around that time, right?
I imagine Dusty also not the easiest. There's
He's
some
goddamn,
pride.
he's the American dream.
Texas pride.
All he is pride and chicken fried steak.
Yeah,
Chicken fried steak. That's the Dusty Rhodes. That's the Dusty Rhodes story.
Yeah, that's his. That's his at a WWE style diner where you order
yeah.
chicken fried steak.
Dusty Rhodes chicken fried steak, daddy.
Texas chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a difference between Texas chicken fried steak and the chicken fried steak I've eaten.
I'm guessing it's just bigger because they're annoying, but
sure. And then Vince has Dustin come to WWF. He gets over as Goldust. Goldust is such a weird character for 1995, 1996. And when I watch this stuff now, I'm like, man, they were really going for something. And it worked, but then they had to back it off because they were going too they were trying to take it too weird. And that's not going to work for 1996. But like, even now, I don't know that on a mainstream wrestling show, people have trouble with a lot of the stuff. A real Goldust character, the way that it was in 1995, I don't know that people would be into it now.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked Dustin Rhodes. Like we've talked about this before. I liked Cowboy Dustin Rhodes, and that was it a bunkhouse match that we watched him in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked Cowboy Dustin Rhodes.
He's the natural, baby.
Yeah. And come on. Like
come on.
Almost talking like Creole like his dad, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm just proud of my daddy, like that type of stuff. And then it's so interesting that he turned into Goldust. Whose idea was Goldust?
Vince and Bruce Pritchard.
Really?
I think. Yeah. And then they were like, they contacted Dustin Rhodes, I think, and were like, can you play this guy? Yeah, do you want to be this guy?
He did a heck of a job playing that
guy. He's great at it. Like, and it made him more money than he probably would have made as just Dustin Rhodes.
Goldust is like almost iconic. Like Goldust is a big character. Memorable character. Yeah. He creeped me out when I was a kid playing a video game.
Yeah, he's weird. He's wearing a whole gold bodysuit.
I bet that guy is sticky.
Yeah, he seems sticky. He seems like the kind of guy that David Bowie would write a song about, like
Goldust creeps me fucking out.
Yeah. Then the end of the documentary is Dusty and Dustin reuniting in WCW thanks to Barry Windham. Dusty and Dustin at the end of WCW kind of get back together, and Dusty's an on-screen character. They do a kiss your ass match against Flair and Jeff Jarrett. That's JEFFJARRETT.
Thank you. Appreciate
Where
that.
Dusty Rhodes sticks his big fat ass that stinks apparently right in Jeff Jarrett's face.
What's funny is I didn't realize that was Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, that's Slapnuts era Jeff Jarrett. Don't piss him off, dude.
I told you guys not to piss me off.
And then the next night on Nitro, Flair's supposed to kiss Dusty's ass, and it's a donkey. And they've spray painted Dusty's ass on the donkey, and of course,
So
the heel's
funny.
face is going to the donkey. He comes back to WWE for a Legend Night, becomes a coach at NXT, and that's really the end of that documentary. I thought really good. I mean, it's a 10,000-foot view on a career that you could really spend a lot of time diving into. And like you said, they're a lot more favorable towards the WWF era stuff because it's their documentary. But I thought if you didn't know anything about Dusty Rhodes, like you now understand his place as one of the most important guys in wrestling history.
Yeah, I feel like I really want, because the WWE docs are good, but like maybe we've been spoiled by like The Last Dance and shit, but
Yeah.
I'd like a multi-part, like 3 or 4 episode doc on guys like Dusty. Like it's tough to pack it all into an hour and 22 minutes, especially if you're going to spend so much time on the WWE part. Like,
Yeah.
I think it would take a long time to really, really explain his influence in the territories and his like just how over he was out there, because we saw some of it. Like they were doing one of my favorite thing in wrestling docs is like during territory time when they're going to the crowd and they're like, who you here to watch? They're like Dusty Rhodes, like all this stuff.
Yeah. Some lady in the crowd calls him a hunk.
Yeah,
So
that's very
why is Dusty
interesting.
Rhodes your favorite? Why is Dusty Rhodes your favorite? Because he's a hunk.
I like fat guys with purple eyes, but
Yeah.
I just wish I wish we had like more context, like but yeah, with the time that they had and all that, I think they did a pretty darn good job. You got to see his personality, you got to see why people loved him, and you got to see a little bit of in-ring stuff. Like he could move for his size. Like I could totally see how he was a successful football player. You know, he can move.
Yeah. Well, wrestling is still such a insular business and idea. Like even if you were a third party trying to get info on wrestling, like they're fucking carnies, dude. Like there's the Ric Flair 30 for 30. He's telling stories in that aren't true. Like there's no way to vet whether they're true or not. It's just he's saying them because he's a carny. Because of course he is. You know.
Well,
Like
and speaking of Flair, like in the I can't remember if this was in both documentaries, because there were a lot of the same interviews in both documentaries, but there were some new ones in the second one. And when Flair was talking about Dusty and how much he loves Dusty, and like where he's like, we had a lot of fun and we made a lot of money. And we spent a lot of money.
yeah,
It's gonna be on both of our epitaphs. Like
yeah. That's
it was
on
like,
the second one.
and he's like, Flair's like, I'd like to say I was better, but I really can't say that. He's like,
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes is one of the great, like, that's maybe the most genuine I've ever seen Ric Flair. It was actually pretty touching, like the way he was talking about his friend. So
Yeah.
that was really cool. A little bit of a different angle of Ric Flair, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, because like Flair talks about how he was in the locker room when Bruiser Brody got stabbed to death. Whenever it is factually provable that he was not, because he wasn't in Puerto Rico. Like, and he tells that story every time he gets a chance to. And I don't know if he is lying or if he's heard the account so many times or if he just believes that he was. But it's like you could get the actual evidence that proves that he wasn't. So wrestling's like no matter who does them, WWE's trying to tell their narrative, and anybody else trying to figure it out, it's got to go firsthand to who they're talking to, and that guy's a storyteller. They're fucking actors.
They're liars.
Yeah, like
they're professional liars.
You know, it's hard, and it's not as well documented. It's harder to get because everybody does that. All documentaries have guys trying to fluff up their own shit. But like Tom Brady, you can fucking like, no, you didn't play in this Super Bowl. Here's why. But
Yeah.
wrestling, it's fucking weird, you know.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing about like if you listen to enough wrestling podcasts, especially like Cornette, you'll hear Cornette tell the same story like 6 different ways.
Yeah,
Like and to the point where you start to realize you can kind of point out, okay, that was probably an embellishment, or okay, that was probably,
yeah. They're never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah.
I do that whenever I'm like trying to bust, trying to crack people up with a story or whatever. Yeah, you go a little bit further because who cares if it's true, if it's funny. I'm not trying to get fact checked by the New York Times or whatever.
Thankfully, all my stories are great. So
yeah. Never told a lie.
Never told a lie in my life.
The Celebrating Dusty Rhodes doc is, like Andrew said, it's mostly recycled footage with a little bit of new material as far as interviews and stuff. But I thought at the beginning it's funny because I believe Vince McMahon respects Dusty Rhodes and might even have loved Dusty Rhodes. But at the beginning, he hits us with the English 1 first college essay version of introduction where charisma is defined as blah blah blah. Webster's defines charisma as etc. Do you think Stephanie McMahon's a real person?
Bro, I wish she would be, because like there's certain times where she seems kind of endearing, and like she was good on TV sometimes when she was the bratty daughter, and like I think she does do good things for people in real life, but like she is so corporate.
Yeah.
And I don't know. She talked about like they got to work an angle together, and like Dusty was like they were going back and she gave no context as to what they're talking about.
Yeah.
In the thing, and they didn't cut it up, so you don't know why. She's like, yeah, he started smiling at me, and then I walked up and I took the microphone out of his hand. They don't talk about what the promo was about. And
well,
like
what happened was her whole thing is like, as the authority lady, and we've even talked about it, like she just bulldozes the baby face. Like she'll just say whatever. And Dusty Rhodes was going off script because he's like, I'm not gonna let somebody fucking bury me. I have the microphone. And they had this promo where he's like not following it at all. And so she's trying to get him back onto the thing, and he keeps walking away from her so that he could keep, because he's trying to sell the match, because it's his, I believe, if it's the angle that I'm thinking of, it's his kids, Cody and Dustin, versus the Shield. And the Shield are working for Stephanie and Triple H. So they did this promo, and then they did a different one where Stephanie's talking, and Dusty Rhodes put his hand in her face to get her to stop. And that apparently pissed her way the fuck off. And then they like took Dusty off TV and all this shit. Like, so she's telling the story, but she's disingenuous in this story because she didn't love the fact that Dusty was like giving it back to her, because she writes the storyline so that she can be the baddest bitch in the room, and Dusty Rhodes is not gonna nobody upstages the Dream,
The Dream's the baddest bitch in the room, every room he's ever been
in. He just took a DNA test, turns out he's 100% that bitch.
Why is Joey Styles so prominent in both of these?
He's not in the other doc, is he?
I think not prominent, but like I think he's like briefly at the end in the other doc too.
He used to work for the WWF website, so I think they throw him into these as like a wrestling historian sort of figure,
like kind of almost the fan perspective.
Yeah, well, and Dusty did work a little bit in ECW in the year 2000, but
I like Joey Styles.
Yeah,
so I was just very curious. And did you happen to catch, because at the end of this doc they do a bunch of like people like telling story, like saying bye to Dusty and shit, and you can tell that it's a bunch of WWE people who met him once. And Charlotte Flair was very touching, honestly. And then there were a couple of them. Who was the girl in her hotel room that was like, Dusty told me I looked like shit one time? So
that's Renee Paquette. That's John Moxley's wife.
Okay. You could tell she had one Dusty story, and she tried to turn it into a good thing. Did you catch Dolph Ziggler's?
I saw Ziggler, but I don't know that I internalized what he said.
Just a poignant, ringing endorsement. He says, he will always be remembered for being as good as he was. Thanks,
Right?
Dolph.
Yeah.
You know what? So will fucking all of us.
Yeah.
If you're mediocre, you're remembered for being as good as you were.
You're just as good as you ever were, you know?
Dusty was as good as he was.
Yep.
Thanks, Dolph. Point at that smile again.
They have Maria Menounos and Dusty Rhodes together backstage before like one of the Hall of Fame things.
Yeah.
And man, like Dusty Rhodes is standing there and you're cutting Dusty Rhodes' most famous promo.
Yeah.
And you're not fucking nailing it. And he's
Yeah.
got to stand there. And they're like, no, do it, Maria. Do the promo. And she's like, it's not Maria Menounos' fault. Nobody could have won in that situation, but it just hurts my feelings to watch it because like, everybody comes across bad in this thing.
I had a little bit of secondhand embarrassment. I was gonna shit on her impression, but I got to give it to her, man. She at least remembered the textile workers. She remembered the 30 years in a watch. She remembered and she was doing it to the dream. You know how many times I would have fumbled trying to do that shit in front of Dusty Rhodes? I wouldn't have tried to do that shit in front of Dusty Rhodes.
She's put in an unwinnable situation.
Yeah. And I've heard pretty decent person, Maria Menounos.
That seems cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a little bit of secondhand embarrassment for her trying to do the fucking Hard Times promo to the guy who did the Hard Times promo. It's like Tiger Woods watching my golf swing, you know?
Yeah. No, come look.
No, check it out. I swing just like you.
Remember 1998 Masters? I'm gonna do the arm swing at the end.
Fucking wreck that shit.
So yeah, the Flair promo or the Flair interview was nice, and then at a particular point, Flair was looked up to Dusty. Dusty was his hero.
Yeah,
wrestling, and you could tell that in spite of the fact that he's still Ric Flair and he's like got that internal thing to fucking be the man or whatever, like some of the earnestness does get out. It escapes through the void, and he gets he does a nice tribute to his friend. They inducted Dusty into the Hall of Fame in 2007. Cody and Dustin did the induction, which was cool. And then he worked in NXT for a few years helping people. And at the end of the documentary, he said he wants to be remembered as an entertainer. That if you spent your money on Dusty Rhodes, if it was the last money you had and you had no money for gas and you had no money for food, and he goes, I don't want to do the whole Hard Times promo again.
Yeah.
But it's still true, He's like, if you went and spent your money and for 2 hours I can make you forget about all that, and at the end of the night there's a smile on your face because you saw the American dream, then I did my job. I'm like, fucking Dusty Rhodes, man.
Dusty, he did do his job.
Yeah. So they're good. The second one is a little bit of like nobody needs to see the Maria Menounos Hard Times promo.
Funeral director Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah, just very somber Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
Stephanie McMahon as a Stepford wife. Like, you don't have to see any of that stuff.
I guess the only thing is the Flair thing, just to see how Flair talks about him. It's like towards the back half of it. That's really good. But other than that, it's pretty much a cut down version of the first one with Stephanie talking.
Yeah. with Stephanie's avatar speaking on her behalf.
I know.
So that is it for the documentaries. Oh, Steven Regal. Steven Regal talked a lot about how much he loved Dusty Rhodes.
Oh yeah, big fan.
And how Dusty gave him a job and he helped come up with the Regal character, and
he signed his work visa.
Yeah, and told him, you owe me one, and all the clearly at the end he's clearly emotional when they're doing the goodbye segments for Dusty.
Yeah,
Steven Regal, quality person.
I love Steven Regal, and John Cena had some good things to say as well.
Yeah,
there's some
good stuff in it, but we will quickly move to pop culture for this week. I chose June 21st, 1981, which is the date that Dusty Rhodes won the second of his 3 NWA World Heavyweight titles from Harley Race. I didn't pick the one from 1979 because the number one movie that week was the reissue of Star Wars.
It wasn't the Star Wars of wrestling.
No, that's but our number one movie this week is a movie that I do not believe you have seen. That also has a bit of controversy. It is Superman 2, starring Christopher Reeve.
No.
It is credited as a Richard Lester movie, even though Richard Donner. So, Superman 2 is the first movie, I believe, where they decided to film both of them together. 1 and 2 they filmed at the same time, and then they released 1 and then went and finished 2.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Donner directed the first Superman movie and then got in a fight with a studio over Superman 2, so they took him out and brought in this other guy to do the rest of the movie.
They took him out as if they had like an assassin fucking.
Yeah. They removed him from the picture. And the guy who wrote the
piano wire.
Yeah, the guy who wrote Godfather also worked on this script, so take from that what you will.
Never heard it.
Yeah. So Richard Lester gets the credit for this movie because they went back and reshot a bunch of it so that he can be credited as the director. And he is also the guy that was given credit for some of the more silly aspects of Superman 2.
Did he release a 4-hour black and white version?
No, there is a Donner cut version of the movie, though.
Dude, history just repeats itself, don't it?
Yeah. There's time's a flat circle, my man.
Yeah.
So, it was a big hit. It cost $54 million, made $190 million in 1981 money, which is huge.
That's insane. $54 million in 1981 to make a movie. That's crazy.
Yeah. So that, but they even then they did not listen to your request, Andrew. Running time of Superman 2, hour and 27 minutes.
Hey, that's not hour 27 minutes, not bad.
That's not too bad. All right. Our top 10 for 1981. I'm going to say that you have seen 2 of these movies. It's only 2 in 81. Number 1 grossing movie of the year, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones. Hate snakes.
I don't know.
The one with the big ball at the beginning?
It's not going to help.
No?
I know the big ball scene, but I don't know. Like I watched an Indiana Jones movie or 2 when I was like 6, so sure. I don't know.
What about he fights the sword man? I'm gonna just keep naming scenes from the movie.
Yeah, I know you
hate that.
I know you
are. Number 2, On Golden Pond.
I've never even fucking heard of that.
Yeah, it's an old timey movie. You stop me if you've seen one of these movies. So, okay. Superman 2, Arthur, Stripes, The Cannonball Run, not Cannonball Run, The Cannonball Run. Chariots of Fire.
I may have seen Stripes.
Stripes is a Bill Murray movie. That's the other one I had my money on.
I don't think so, but I may have seen it because it's Harold Ramis. But anyway, Sean Young's crazy ass.
Yeah. For Your Eyes Only, James Bond movie. Not for you. Not for your eyes.
No.
The Four Seasons. Probably not the band. I don't know what that movie's about. Number 10, Clash of the Titans.
No. That's
a big O swing and a miss for 1981.
Yeah, I don't like 1981.
No, there's nothing. It's got nothing for you.
Nope.
The number 1 album this week. I don't know enough about this band. The thing I know about this band would upset this band. But the number 1 album is it's called High Infidelity, bro.
No. Wow, man.
The band is REO Speedwagon.
Fucking Yuck City.
Yeah. This album contains the singles Keep On Loving You, which is a pretty dope song. Take It on the Run, Don't Let Him Go, and In Your Letter. I don't know any of those other songs.
Oh, I love In Your Letter. In Your Letter is a great song.
Really?
Yeah, it really is.
It's fucking so strange.
Said you never leave it. It's fucking good. It's fucking good.
So, have you listened to High Infidelity then?
No, I just know that song.
All right,
I know the 4th single off of that song.
I was gonna say, do you know "Keep On Loving You"?
I don't know.
That's a jam right there. Roll with the Changes, I think, is probably the best REO Speedwagon song. Um, but this album sold 10 million copies, probably
Yeah,
based on the
dude.
strength of For Your or In Your Letter. Uh,
It's a banger. It really is.
so the thing I know about REO Speedwagon is that their guitar player, I think is Rick Ocasek, he produced the first Weezer album, the Blue album. So
Goddamn.
yeah, he remains in my heart forever for doing that for me. Um,
That's a nice feather in your cap.
yeah.
It's a great album.
um,
The last great Weezer album. No, I'm just kidding. I liked Pinkerton. I liked the Green album. I like Maladroit.
See, I think the Green album's pretty good. I agree with the
Yeah, Pat
Pat Finnerty.
Finnerty hated it, but
Yeah, I agree with him that all the guitar solos just follow the melody line. But like for pop songs, they're pretty fun pop songs.
no, I really liked it. I liked the Green album a
Um,
lot.
but I think that's it for me. Dope Nose is a pretty fun song, but I don't think I ever listened to Maladroit, so the whole album. So I have nothing to really say about
I
it.
did. I can't remember all of it, but I had a good, nice little Weezer run when I was younger.
Yeah. By Make Believe, I was out. So, and have returned sporadically based on how good the singles are off of the Weezer album. I'll be like, all right, that song's not bad. But a whole Weezer album, I'd be hard pressed to remember the last time I listened to a whole one. Our number one song this week is a song that I have never heard, called Betty Davis Eyes by a lady named Kim Carnes.
Nope. Not even gonna look it up.
However, before that, a banger ass song by one Mr. Daryl Hall and John Oates, Kiss on My List.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give him that one.
And Morning Train, 9 to 5 by Sheena Easton. You know that song?
I don't
My
think so.
baby takes
Oh yeah, the morning train to 9 and 5 and 10. Yeah.
Yep.
I think
then,
Homer sang that song, and that's how I know that song.
Yeah. And then a couple weeks from now, fucking Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield is the number one single. So
Get out of the way.
yeah, you gotta make way for Jesse's Girl.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had the success of Jesse's Girl.
Yeah.
Also, in our movie list, 1981 on June the 7th, a movie that 1981 might be able to entice you with, Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams.
Dan's not here, man. I don't know if that's from that movie, but
I think that's Up in Smoke.
yeah.
But yeah. It's very bizarre to go back, like, that's why I like this portion of the podcast, but it's weird to go back and be like, yeah, Cheech and Chong had the number one movie, and then it was Superman 2, and that was queered it out. So
Yeah.
See,
Superman 2. I bet that movie stinks.
It starts good. I think the Richard Donner part of it is good, and then the Richard Lester parts are not as good. Like, he gives Superman powers that aren't that have never been established before, and it's bizarre that they come out in this movie. So it's like he can take the S out of his suit and then throw it at people like a shield. And the studio wanted it to be a little more comedic, because that's always the note they give. And so there's like some really stupid comedic beats in that movie where it's like, hey man, I mean, write a clever movie, have jokes in your movie, but like, I don't need Superman doing slapstick. I go to a different movie if I want to see that.
I'll watch Thor, huh?
Yeah, not every movie has to be this. Not every movie has to have every movie in it,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. We learned about Dusty Rhodes. We traveled down the roads. We dined with kings and queens. We dined on pork and beans. And we've overcome the hard times.
I love the man. I really do.
He's the best. And I believe next week we'll come back. We'll have the look at the matches between him and Ric Flair, matches and promos from their rivalry in the 80s. And then, have you packed your bags, Andrew? Are you ready?
Well, I think Hell needs to pack its bags.
Look, if I'm going to Frog, I don't want to go alone to Frogtown.
Yeah.
And I don't want to come unprepared to goddamn Frogtown.
Yeah. You
So-
don't want to.
No, so I had to call you.
You need various
had to
wart creams.
Yeah, I had to call Jacob. Then I had to make a special call. Little place called Hell. Because we're watching it. Roddy Piper stars in Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad, I bet. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's the secret. What if it's the secret Godfather too? You know, and it's just been buried under bad press for years.
I'm excited.
Yes, the Pinkerton of Rowdy Piper albums or Rowdy Piper movies. You know,
Where you're like, actually, it's good.
yeah, there's a critical reevaluation that needs to happen for Hell Comes to Frogtown. So that's it. Andrew dropped the socials at the top. We will be back next week because kayfabe may be dead, but we're alive. Watch Ric Flair versus Dusty Rhodes at the Snark Marks podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.